Hello again, and welcome to the second exploration of the realm of seed. I call this one Breaking Through. So now that we have examined, excuse my dog, now that we have examined what a seed is and how we apply it in a magical and personal practice, we get to choose. Now we get to make conscious choices. So the first step in this process is to visualize your soul garden. And for those who have any sort of aphantasia or any sort of issues pulling up images in your head, you can simply know that you are looking at the things that are growing within the garden of you, within your soul garden. You can feel them, you can sense them. It does not have to be a visual. That's very important. Now, what you want to do is take 3 to 4 deep cleansing breaths. And what I mean by that is we want to diaphragm breathe. So diaphragm breathing is when we breathe into our bellies and then allow that breath to fill up to the very top of our lungs. So it's going to be in and out through your nose, okay, through your nose only. So let's do it together a couple times. We're going to inhale through our nose. Ready? And then we exhale. And see how that feels, right? You can feel the kind of circular nature of your breath when we breathe in order to cleanse. So we take our 3 to 4 deep cleansing breaths and we allow our body to relax. So on the exhale, what I'd like you to do is allow your shoulders to drop, unclench your jaw, and let go of your neck. So these are the places, the areas in the body where we generally hold a lot of tension as humans. And it's important that we relax through this. So next step is we want to see your spirit as a garden. Especially like a beautiful garden. I really get very detailed with these things, so I'm all like, no, my soul garden is like, I can describe it to people. So that's really what you want to do. That is how detailed you want to be with your sensing or seeing. Next, take a walk and take in what your soul garden really looks like. Is there and you want to focus on the subtle nuances in color. Or subtle nuances of color. Sorry about that. And you want to see, are there shades of green? Are there other colors in there? Are they solid colors? Are they variations? Is there a spectrum? Really get very detailed and explore this area of yourself. Take in, is there a gate or a fence? What does it look like? Is your soul garden overgrown and tangled with weeds? Is it bright and verdant? Are there containers, or are the plants growing from the earth? Are there areas that need attention? And you want to journal what you see and be very specific and honest with it. There is no need for any sort of false pretenses or anything. We want to allow this to come to us rather than force it. So during our journey within, we take a look at our soul garden, right, which we just did on the last slide. And you can feel free to pause this anytime you need in order to do these exercises. So the next step is the weeding process. The soil of you is fertile and full of nutrients, and if we want to plant something new, we must tend to the garden. Taking care of our own garden comes in the form of self-care. Now, many times we hear that self-care is selfish. It's not. It's not. Self-care is not a toxic type of selfish. It is much like cleaning your house or doing your dishes. Are these things considered selfish? No, they're not. They're a form of self-care. Now, there are other types of self-care that we can do which help us tend to our soul, right? To the garden of you, our soul garden. And those are the types of self-care that we want to practice while we are going through this process of breaking through. So establishing a solid practice of self-care allows us to effectively weed our garden and show love to the neglected parts of us. And a journal entry or assignment for this is, what does your self-care practice look like? And I want you to write it down as it stands now. What does your self-care practice look like now? Not what you want it to look like, but what does it look like now? And so you also want to write down, is it acceptable to you? And if not, write down how you think you could make it so. But we want to work within the confines of reality, right? So realistically, what can you do to make this self-care routine more acceptable to you? So some ideas: eat one meal of whole foods per day, which means no preservatives, no sugars, anything like that. Take a relaxing herbal or spiritual bath. Move your body. I always recommend yoga. Having a solid yoga practice is a fantastic form of self-care and of introspection. Practice meditation, of course. Engage in a passion. So a passion is anything that you love to do. What sets your soul on fire? Engage in that. Set healthy boundaries. That's very important. Take responsibility for your actions. That is also important. And that may not seem like a type of self-care, but it is. So when we take responsibility for our actions, we are practicing introspection. And introspection is incredibly important on this path. Buy yourself a nice gift. I personally am an expert in retail therapy. I do love to buy myself gifts, and it's amazing. And another way is to spend time in service to your community. So any sort of mutual care work or any place that you can volunteer, even like an animal shelter if you love animals. A community garden, that's a great thing to do, but it allows you to connect with the people around you and understand like where you are in your community. So this is a quote from Rosemary Gladstar, who is considered the godmother of modern herbalism. She is absolutely amazing. So this is a journal entry, and I want you to write what this quote means to you. The quote is, "I am my own healer. I have a radiant voice within that guides me. I make decisions for myself. I rely on others as needed, but at my discretion. It is my body, my health, my balance, and my responsibility to make right choices for myself. Right choices include working with competent healthcare professionals when necessary, allowing friends and family to help as needed, and above all, being true to my beliefs with the wisdom and willingness to change as a part of the path of healing." So go ahead and say that quote, right? Or read it, whatever you want to do, and then journal about it. What did this bring up for you? How did you feel about it? If you're having troubles getting started with journaling, a great practice is to set a timer for 2 minutes and free write. Free writing is you write with zero intention. You're not writing about anything. You're just writing to get it out. It can be the same word over and over and over for 2 minutes, but it allows us to access that flow of consciousness state, which is where we really start to hear the wisdom of ourselves. Just as a seed puts out all of its energy into breaking through the shell in order to sprout, so do we follow suit. So what does that mean? It means that when we want to make changes, right, when we're trying to grow something different within ourselves, it takes effort. It is not something that we just, casually do. These things take time. They take time, they take effort, they take nutrients, and they take attention. So what I really don't want you to think is that these things just come, just like, oh, it's just super easy. Now, sometimes it is super easy, right? Sometimes we're like, I know this process. Other times it's really difficult and it requires a lot of time in order to do stuff. So Just be aware of that. In witchcraft, we speak of intention quite a bit. What is the intention of the seed? Does the seed have intention? The only purpose of the seed, the only thing it does is growth. It does not force growth, it allows growth. It does not resist the process. And that is something that is super important to ruminate on. In what ways are you resisting your own growth? In what ways are you allowing your own growth? How can you become more free flowing? How can you open yourself up a little bit more and understand that you have always been growth? That's all that we do is grow. That's it. We don't really do anything else. It's kind of fascinating if you break it down to just the bare text. Name a part of your life that you didn't grow from. It's interesting. So another assignment, another journal entry. Of course, I'm huge on journaling. So think of a time in your life where you resisted the process of growth. How did it feel to resist? Be specific about it. That's really important. Just as many details as you can remember, be very specific. How did it feel to you? What actions did you take in order to resist the growth? What were the outcomes of those actions? Be very specific. When you stop resisting, or if you stop resisting, how did the feeling change? Again, be very specific. What were you holding on to that fueled the resistance? Be specific. So the purpose of all of this journaling is so that we start to understand ourselves, because really the practice of witchcraft is the knowledge of self. It is incredibly important. Here's a quote from Goethe. I love him. So, meditation. If it's the greatest and the highest that you seek, the plant can direct you. Strive to become through your will what without will it is. So go ahead and meditate on that quote and really try to take in the lesson that is being conveyed here. It's really important that we understand our connection and our place in nature, because make no doubt about it, my friends, we are a part of nature. All right, you guys, blessed be, and I'll see you in the next lesson.